Today's chord technique will be on what I'm going to call rotation and circles. I'm going to do two different techniques. And I'm going to give you a couple ways you can work on this. So when you have broken chords, let me explain that first. So when you take any chord, like a C chord, any chord at all, it doesn't really matter, and you break up the notes, the order of the notes. So basically you're not playing all three notes or four notes or whatever at the same time. So it could be anything from this or whatever. I'm going to start with the simple broken chord, which is just this. You'll have something similar to this in some of the songs you might play. So here's what we want to do with this. I'm going to show the right hand first by itself, and hopefully you can see on this side camera kind of what my arm and what my whole arm is doing while playing this chord. So what we want to try to fight against is just using your fingers by themselves like this, where there's no movement and your arm and shoulder are locked into place. It's really the shoulder that's locking into place. You're going to relax that shoulder, allow it to move, allow your arm to move with this. So what we want to do is try to make a circle. This is the circle pattern. And this circle pattern is going to start with the right hand going down. Now when I say down, I don't mean this. I just mean down into the chord. So it's basically almost still level here. And it's going to come around, going this way, going towards my camera here, going out. Notice my elbow going out with it. I'm going to over-exaggerate this. Now it's coming back up and in. Notice the elbow going in as this comes up. Now the wrist is coming up, not like this. It's just coming up just slightly. Make it kind of like flat or slightly curved, but just really don't overdo this part, but over-exaggerate your arm movement to get used to it. Try this with me, starting on C. One other thing you can do is make sure that you don't have your fingers lift too high. We don't want to do this. And we also don't want to have them just glued to the keyboard necessarily. Lift them just a little bit off the keys. With the left hand, opposite way. I don't have a camera on this side, so what you can do is just kind of reverse this. When we start on the bottom, your elbow starts out a little bit. It's coming back in. Now it comes down. You can still see that motion of the elbow and the arm doing this kind of motion. Now try the left hand with me. Now try this by yourself. Once you get to where you feel comfortable with this, you can do both hands together. When you do both hands together, do it in contrary motion. What that means is start with the pinkies. Always use the same fingers to start. So that way, this is the more natural motion to do in contrary. Once you get comfortable with that, you can try in parallel motion, but just know, you see the arms are not going to be synced with each other. Let me show you one more. I'm trying to keep these short, but I want to show one more technique. This is a rotation technique. I'm showing both of these because they both use the movement of the arm. So what I'm going to do is show an Alberti bass, which I'm going to show in the right hand first. Alberti bass is just the name of this technique, or the name of this broken chord, which I call this bottom top, middle top, meaning bottom note first, top note, middle note, top note, and then repeat. So now, do you see, notice the movement of my wrist, and that when my wrist moves, my elbow moves naturally with it. I'm never locking up my shoulder. I'm not forcing it to move, but my whole arm is moving with my wrist. This is the same for both arms. So if I try to do this without moving my shoulder, your wrist can only move so far until you move the shoulder and move the whole arm out so that you can actually play that thumb note, or in the left hand also the thumb note, with more ease. Let me demonstrate that again. In, out, middle, out. I'm going to kind of call it that. Try it with me. Bottom, top, middle, top. Now, one thing to remember is that with this, I know I said don't lift the fingers too much, but when I come out like this, let me show this with the left hand. You can see how the thumb is actually coming quite high off of the keyboard. That's absolutely fine for this technique. So let's do the left hand by itself. Starting with the pinky. Now the pinky is coming down, so this is actually the easier motion because this is the natural way that the arm is going to move out. And then as you go to the thumb, whole arm is going to move out a little bit. Middle comes back in a little, back out. Try this with me. Bottom, top, middle, top, bottom, top, middle, top. Now you can also speed this up once you get good at it. An example of where this is used. It's used in a lot of music. Most famous example is that one. Now could you see my left arm doing that technique? Now it's very small now, so I'm telling you to over-exaggerate. Once you get to a more advanced level, you don't have to over-exaggerate it. I'm doing very tiny movements, but you can still see, if you watch in slow motion, you can still see my shoulder moving when I do this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.